My name is Tuukka Turunen. I'm from Digia, Qt Commercial. The topic of this morning will be our roadmap, added features and functions, and things that we have been doing and what we are planning to do in the near future. And if you wish to ask more details of something, it's okay to interrupt. I will try to cover that topic in more detail. In the end, I hope we will be having some room for questions and discussion as well. I counted, we have 37 slides, so let's see how deeply we can cover, but later on the presentation material will be of course made available, and we can discuss in more detail on all those topics that each of you wish to have covered more during the day also. Later if we run out of time here. I guess we will be kicked out by 9 before the next session starts. So here's the agenda for today. So first shortly discussing about Digia and what we do in the Qt Commercial. Also a bit about our release creation and these things that we have been setting up. Then some words about our focus in R&D, looking back to the customer survey that we did in May, June, and what you wanted us to do there and the actions thereof. Then looking a bit into the roadmap, how the releases are planned, what is the content, what are the highlights, and some words about the things that we are currently building. And then a short summary at the end, and as said, hopefully time for some questions and discussion. So just briefly on Digia, I guess most of you know, but we acquired the commercial licensing and support business from Nokia Mods this year. Digia is a company that specializes in software. We have been doing a long time mobile software, we have enterprise systems, we have software integration and a wide variety of different services around that. And on Qt, I'm sure you already know that quite well. So looking at a bit more that where we are. So Digia is a Finnish company. Most of our offices and R&D is in Finland, and also we have a lot of domestic business in the Finnish and Nordic region on the, let's say, normal IT type of business. Then we have a global businesses, the Qt Commercial. Then we have the mobile service business running globally, and we also have some other product initiatives, like yesterday you saw in the keynote presentation on the different kind of apps. One of those apps was Float, which Digia has been creating. It's a social network for music lovers and stuff like that. So a variety of stuff, and with offices in Europe, in Oslo, Stockholm, in various places in Finland, 2 sites in Russia, main location in US at Santa Clara in the Silicon Valley area, then some people scattered around. Of course, it's a big country, so some of the salespersons are in the East Coast and things like working from home. And then in China we have our main R&D site in Chengdu and a smaller operation in Beijing. So that's shortly on Digia, and then let's go more deeply into the topic of the Qt Commercial and what we are doing. First, looking into the support platforms. This slide unfortunately is a bit small, but then again, of course, there's no news on it, so the same information is on our website in a matrix where you can see what platforms in which versions are supported. But I guess the main message here is twofold. First of all, we have a large number of platforms that we do support. And what is meant by support is that the primary platforms are regularly tested. So each night we build, run full set of tests, see that nothing has broken, or if something has broken, then we can react on that. And we then also provide for those configurations ready in the support team. So whenever you are using any of those configurations, if there's a problem that appears in those, the support team has those configurations available. They can quickly take them and start using. Okay? Kein Eingang. Okay, no problem. I will just continue because I remember what was in the slide. So, then another item that is there is that we are adding some new platforms for the 4.8, especially for the embedded platforms. So we are adding support to embedded Windows, some real-time operating systems that I mentioned. I will cover them a bit more later in the presentation. And we are also working to have the embedded Linux better than ever running on the Qt 4.8. And on the desktop, we have added, together with Nokia, good support for the Mac OS X Lion. We have Windows 8 support in the pipeline. We have been already running some tests with the developer preview, and good news is that about everything seems to work already now. So it's we will be very feasible to support that. Of course, in order to support the style, there are some new widgets and stuff like that needed, which might not be fully there yet on the 4.8. It might be on the next version, but surely for the 4.8 you will be able to run all the existing apps with the sort of the normal Windows style and the Metro style then coming later. Then we have also worked with Solaris to make sure that it runs well and is a platform where you can deploy. And we have a number of secondary platforms as well. There are some more Unix platforms there. There are some more exotic or let's say older configurations of Windows, and then we have Windows Embedded Compact, the older version, still there, possible to use, but not as regularly tested as we are doing for the Windows Embedded 7. Yeah?
Could you indicate what in this list of supported platforms is different than what you get from vanilla?
Oh yes, and it depends a bit on version to version. So if you look at the 4.8, we have you can easily compare. Also, Nokia is pointing out the list of those. So I think at least on the 4.8, Nokia is not yet going to Visual Studio 2010. I'm not sure if they have already started with that. At least on 4.7, that was an addition for Windows. We also have some more configurations in the regular testing pipeline. In Linux, we have added the Red Hat there to validation. Solaris is something that we regularly validate on. Nokia is not. So actually, it's a bit of a question that varies from version to version. Both us and Nokia has the full list of platforms available, so it's easy to check basically platform by platform and version by version. Then of course going to Qt 5, the Qt project is reducing the amount of supported configurations to 5, and we have already now more than 20 configurations that we are regularly testing, and with the adding of the real-time operating systems and the new Windows configurations, we are soon, within this year, we are over 30, and we intend to continue those. So there will be a lot more configurations in which we test as well. But surely, when we find a problem in let's say, for example, Solaris, we of course report that to the Qt project as well. So it's, in a sense, it is upstream, but it's just that for any particular release, it might be broken unless you test. That's typical how software works, that unless you verify in some configuration, it tends that there are errors. And we can already see that in the earlier configurations with things in the 4.7, for example, with Mac OS X Carbon support that was broken in the open source, but we fixed, and when we notified the fix, it was too late to anymore get that to the open source release. the contribution is there, the code is there. If you want to build it yourself, you can get the working. But if you want to use the working binary installers, then you get them from the commercial version. So it's also a bit of a matter of time for each release. But what we aim is that whatever we have listed as supported, those we regularly test, and then we truly know that it is working. I can come back to that later if you want to, if you have some particular platform in mind. Coming a bit into the release testing, so how on earth are we able to validate this amount of platforms is of course a good question, and the answer is that we have automated a lot in the release testing. So of course not all testing can be automated, but what we are doing is that we are automating the validation in various platforms so that we can do the deep testing of the functionality in some platforms, and then we can do a smaller number of tests in all platforms automatically, and then we can be quite sure that these all platforms work as good as the one. Of course, it's not always 100% there, but so far we have had no mistakes in that path. That basically we have two lines, and actually it creates a square of the test coverage. So how the automated test system works, so each night it starts after the engineers go home, and it takes from the repository. At the moment it takes from our internal repository, but it doesn't matter, we can also take from the Qt project upstream repository or whichever. So at the moment we have it in our own, and we sort of control when we do the pull from the upstream. Then from the clean code, we first do test build, which means that we build with the configuration that enables running the automated integration tests, which are basically the platform auto tests in form of unit testing. So as a next step after we have created the test builds, we start running the platform auto tests. These are the tests that you get from the Qt project as well. So there's about 10,000 of them altogether, roughly as a number. Then we run those tests. After we have run the tests, we make a clean build, a release build, with the release configuration rather than the test configuration. Then based on the release build, we create the installers for those platforms in which we support the binary installers. Then we have those installers, the packages, which are exactly the same that you can then later on download from the customer portal. We put those packages into a clean machine, and we do the install in exactly the same way as you would do in each of those platforms by installing through the wizard. And then after installing, we run a series of release tests that are done from the application level, whereas the platform auto tests were the unit test level. These release tests are done with the application. So we utilize the same examples that you get with the Qt, and then we have also created some test applications to test such items that are not there in the existing in those examples. Because of course the examples are more like demos on the capabilities of Qt, and now we want to make sure that also the boring stuff does work. So that's why we have also some additional test applications. They are then run through, after which we have the test results, and here we get basically the first manual step. So in the morning when the guys come to work, they can look through that how did the builds go, what was the result in the platform auto test, what was the result in the release test, and in different platforms. And that's why there are these sort of boxes that we do this in parallel with all those configurations. So we have machines representing each of those configurations, and they are running the build at the same time in all of them. And then we have capability of checking that what did work in each configuration, or if everything was good, then we see that we have had no regressions fit to go forward. Here's another view on the same. The last one, the previous one was more like a process view. Here's a bit of a testing environment view. That how we have so we have these clean or these supported configurations. The desktop ones are mainly virtual machines. Why they are virtual machines is that we can easily have the clean environment. So between each step and each night we can revert back to how the machine was when it was freshly installed, which is a benefit gained from the virtualization. And in the embedded, we typically have host machines that are not virtualized and do the cross compilation there, and then we have hooked the embedded ports into those computers. So they are running on the actual development board rather than a virtual machine. We are using tool called Bamboo from Atlassian. It's equivalent to the Sutupi Pulse that Nokia is using in their CI system. There's no particular reason why one would be better than other. They are equivalent. We have also used the Pulse one, but then later decided to go for the Bamboo one, since it's one that we use regularly also in other builds in Digia, so we can leverage the same agent pool and stuff like that. Then we have the network test server there, which is the backend for the tests that require it in the Qt platform auto tests. We have a release test server that is built on an OTS open test system testing server containing the capability of running the release tests and the test reporting system. So this kind of environment, and as said, it runs regularly each night, but not all the time. So it's in a sense it's a continuous integration system, but the continuous integration in such a way that it does it daily, not like hourly. And the reason for it's not running all the time is that we think that we can actually get better control over the item by running it each day's specified time slot. Of course, we can make it run also during the day if we need to validate, and we can also run it in some platforms if we see that some platform needs more focus than others in, for example, approaching the release. Okay, so that was shortly the introduction of Digia and some words about the system that we have set up to be able to validate those supported platforms. Next topic is the customer survey. Thank you very much for the feedback. I'm sure many of you also answered the survey that we did on the last spring before summer. It's really important for us to hear from you what you want us to focus in, what are the important topics. Of course, it may not be possible to serve each individual needs, but what we are doing is we are of course combining, and then when same item is mentioned many times, then we know that it is a topic that affects many. And based on this survey, we have analyzed, we have read through all those statistics on the questions, and we have also read through, of course, all those free text answers and analyzed them. And we are prioritizing our development accordingly. So what you wanted from us and what we have set as our goals for the near future is that we shall fix errors in 4.8. So there was really many one of you who mentioned that focus on the maturity, that fix those desktop-related items that have been hanging around for a long time. Even though they are not blocking any release, they are annoying. So we have allocated the R&D resources to make that. And I just before the event calculated, and in the previous 3 months that we have done before the event, we have fixed over 100 of those items that are in the listed in the bug database, and we have also contributed. So these fixes are such that, of course, we don't want to differentiate the commercial version by having some functionality working that is not in the open source, and that wouldn't benefit nobody. So that's why we are also pushing them back, and these a bit more than 100 contributions have been done through the existing merge request system. We have also added more primary platforms to the testing system, as was discussed. That way we are able to validate on a wider variety of platforms. We are working to bring support for new platforms, especially in the embedded and real-time operating system area, according to what you requested, to be able to better leverage the cross-platform functionality of Qt. And we are also starting to develop new functionality based on the items that you proposed. And examples of those would be some new widgets and a cloud functionality. We discussed the cloud one a bit later. And of course, why we fix the reason is that the customers are a reason for us to exist. So we develop for you, and that's why we of course want to listen to feedback. Yes.
A lot of bug fixes were closed by Nokia because it was out of scope or not really their interest anymore. Do you also look at these closed bugs?
Yes. So what we are doing is that we are looking to the bugs that are reported by the commercial customers, so we can pull that information out from the system, and then we try to decide what are the ones that are the most valuable. So there are these votes. They of course don't work always that well. Then we can sometimes guess that yes, this probably is an issue that affects many. And we have also identified certain areas. I will come back to that later. That where we see that there's most of the work done. And we have a capability of course, bringing the fix in even if Nokia doesn't want it in. So since we have the own release machine, so the fixes that we do, we contribute. It's then up to Nokia whether they put it to the open source or not. But of course, in the Qt commercial, all those fixes are in because we are doing our own releases. So then looking a bit on the focus areas. So as said, the primary focus for 4.8 at the moment, desktop and embedded related error corrections. Also some improvements, some performance issues, some conformance issues. Support for new desktop and embedded platforms, as discussed. Then one item that has been requested is more code examples, tutorials, documentation, and we are working on providing that. That especially, of course, related to the embedded and desktop platforms. Then making static build work better. It's broken in some platforms. We are fixing it and making it over or more tempting and working, because there are real technical benefits in being able to build static in certain environments, and we want to make sure that it works. Yeah.
This documentation, do you think it's going to be publicly available or for customers?
Well, most of those documentation errors that we are doing, those will be available. If there's some functionality that is commercial only, then the documentation of that might be, of course, not that relevant. But for the main parts, we want to have it available for everybody, and especially for the platform documentation that is already upstream as part of the source code. It would be tricky to do not to have it there. So all those fixes and improvements, main parts go back to benefit everybody. And the whole documentation is an issue that we need to address, that where does it go in the future, so who will do it. So that's a bit of an open topic. At the moment, of course, you get the documentation with the product, but the online documentation and and that we need to also agree together with the Qt project that how we do. Okay, yeah.
Does it include the Qt mobility library? When you speak about embedded platform, this is something which is really relevant.
I would say yes and no. So yes, the license includes, but no, not all platforms have the backends ready. So we need to go a bit case by case, but the mobility as such, it is part of the Qt commercial offering. But if you have a specific platform where you need to have a specific functionality, we need to sort of check with you that is it already there. So for the main parts, yes. But for the backends, there may be also some stuff that is needed to be done additional, especially for the real-time operating system platforms. Then on the new widgets, I discussed already a bit. So the items that have been, the 3 ones that have been mostly mentioned is to be able to support the new desktop visual styles, like the Windows 8 Metro style, and there are also some parts on the current Windows that are not supported. So to be better aligned with that one. To add charting functionality, simple charts first, so that it's possible to do these ones, and then also some data visualization, more data visualization and similar. So those we are identified based on the requests, and those are the ones that we hope to be able to better provide you in the future. Then the cloud. So with the Qt WebKit, it has been already for many years possible to bring the web to any Qt application, but we would like to do it also the other way around. So we want to be able to put the Qt application to web. So in many, it was requested by many of you, and we have also noticed that in the enterprise systems, it's quite regular that you have some storage or authentication or some other of those functionalities in the cloud. It's either in the sort of purchased from the cloud, or you have your own cloud or cloud type solution where the similar techniques are used. And there are bits and pieces related to that, but we would like to have it more focused development. And this is an area that we also want to do together with the Qt project. And I have a slide on that, so I know you probably have many questions on the cloud. So let's take the cloud questions with that slide. Visual Studio integration. Due to when Nokia went open source, they were not able to anymore continue with the deep integration, but now we would like to bring that back. So the first step we are taking care of that we are able to sort of maintain, improve, release the existing add-in, but we also hope that we can soon start bringing in more deeper integration, because really many of you are using Visual Studio and wish to use that. Even though Creator is good, there still are benefits in Visual Studio users from using, of course, the Visual Studio, and that's why we want to have we want to keep that enabled. Yes.
Regarding the Visual Studio 2010, is there a plan to get into the sort of deeper into the MS Build side of things? Because we're using somebody else wrote some Visual Studio targets and like all the generation for the mocking and all that, and we've been using that, and it's been great.
We can come back to that later after the presentation in the detail, but yes, Visual Studio 2010 as such, yes, is on the plans. We need to check the details, how deep we go. First would be the integration of the Qt tools. Yeah.
Every day Qt is getting better, and the better Qt gets, the less time I spend in Visual Studio. So maybe you should recheck the desire on Visual Studio to see if it's needed in order.
Yeah.
Maybe it's better to get the missing functionality of Visual Studio into Qt Creator, like analysis of windows, profiling.
That's true, and we are not sort of concentrating only on the Visual Studio. So we do see that the Creator is good, and we are releasing. So this week we released our own version of the 2.4 beta. So it's basically the same as Nokia, but you can get also under commercial license all the creators. And when we are building our SDK, we also built the SDK leveraging the creator. So we are not forgetting the creator, but there are still, it was so clearly, but you are right, we should recheck that regularly, that how it goes. But at least in the survey that we did last time, it was really clearly pointed out that the Visual Studio is needed and desired.
Yeah, there were many missing points in QCreator back then.
Yeah.
But that has changed dramatically.
Yeah, that's true. True also. Then there's installer framework in Qt. We would like to bring that easier to leverage, so that you can utilize, and when you deploy on various desktop platforms, you can utilize the installer framework created with Qt to deploy your stuff. There's some requests were regarding the XML printing and PDF. So those parts seem to be been with less focus. And we want to keep them up to date, and basically adding conformance testing in there, and being able to measure the performance, and also fixing bugs related to them, and keeping them up to date more than they have been. And then finally, to be able to provide a viable migration path to the Qt Commercial 5, so that it's straightforward and painless to migrate. Yeah.
Is the Qt Quick components for desktop something that you're interested in, or do you see that customers are interested?
Yes, we do think that customers are interested, especially with changing of the QML engine. So in the survey, very few pointed out that you are already doing something with Qt Quick, but many have had some tries with it. But we see that with Qt 5, new engine beneath the Qt Quick, it's very valuable to have those components there, and we do believe that also in the desktop in the future, Qt Quick is an excellent way. So definitely we have already been a bit cooperating with the team that has been doing it by testing it and providing feedback, and definitely we see that it's valuable, and I assume most of you see the same way, that, or even more like that. If there are no components in the desktop, then it renders the Qt Quick in many parts much less usable. Yeah.
Will there be any of these things that will not be present in the open source version? Will there be differences between the open source version and the commercial version?
Yes, but will there any of these? Not many. So I will come back to the bit on the differences, but there
will be differences.
There will be different.
Extra stuff.
Yes, there are extra functionality, but we need to. When we create what we want to avoid is a situation where we have made an artificial difference by sort of making something work, or adding something small. Because if we add something like a small functionality to something existing, we probably have more problems coming, and you all have more problems coming. So it's better that even though we add it to the commercial based on the needs from you, we also try our best to put it into the open source as well, because then we are sure that it's aligned. So it's so I guess that the main difference also in the list here is that the reason why these differences exist is because you have wanted them, and we will do them. But yes, we will contribute most of them to the open source as well. But we didn't ask the open source what you want. So it's in that way serving the benefits. But what we would like, what we would like to do as an add-on is something that is mostly relevant for the commercial customers, and not that much maybe on the open source users. And to be able to focus on that kind of items, we think that we are able to better leverage the sort of the spirit of the Qt. And examples of this would be, for example, of a segment-specific or vertical-specific functionality. So, for example, let's take a medical segment. By creating a functionality that is relevant for the medical and making those as commercial add-ons, it's more clear then that why they do exist, because they are medical segment specific. So that's but the list here is mainly such that that it's eventually we are contributing and we are keeping in sync, not the differentiating list. But we do see that it would be very, very important for us to differentiate. But for the 4.8, we have chosen to differentiate by providing more platforms and more binary installers and better support. And in going to 5, there's modularity introduced, which gives us a better capability of doing those add-ons in such a way that they don't that they are easy to sort of keep in sync with the rest of the project. The roadmap. So we are a bit short on schedule as expected, but I think the discussion has been good. The good news that I have in the roadmap is that we can go through relatively quickly, because we are very well aligned with the Qt project and Nokia release roadmap. So I can highlight you. I will highlight you some items that are different, but mainly we are talking about the same thing that was talked yesterday and that will be talked more. So we have the core of the offering at the moment built on the 4.6, 4.7 and upcoming 4.8. 4.8 as a specific new platform, I will have more info on that. 5, there will be some topics that I would like to share with you regarding the things that we are that we see that what the Qt 5 brings. Qt 5 is a topic, as you know, that is a work in progress. Looking at the timeline, we see that basically it starts and ends on the 5.0 maturization for the first half of next year. So we expect that first technology preview releases will come after the end of the year, and we should have before the summer the 5.0 release, and then some patch release after that. If you see those bullet points on the 5, they are just a rough guess how it could go. But we aim, as we have done so far, we aim to be on the same time. So whenever there is a release day, we try our best that on the same day, at the same time, there will be both the open source and commercial version available, even though that the content might not exactly be the same if there are some patches here and there, some platforms here and there, but we try to keep running these processes in sync. So that represents my guess how it would go, but we see how the 5 goes. In the 4.8, we have a bit more visibility, of course, that we have the release candidate out. 4.8.0, we expect to be able to release in November timeframe, and 4.8.1 in January. So, as always, the release exact release time of the patch release is it has many variables, but that's the rough. So for you, the rough guideline how we plan to be able to release that, and we will continue to support the 4.8 throughout, or to create new functionality to 4.8 throughout next year, and of course support for many years to come. And in a 4.7, we are bringing the 4.7.5 in December this year to address some of those items that are already fixed to the Qt 4.7 branch but are not part of the 4.7.4 release, and also some items that we have fixed for the 4.8 that are applicable to 4.7. So intention is to be 100-150 fixes over 4.7.4. And for 6.4 we did before the summer, and that was the end of the 4.6 line of release, and of course on support-wise it's still there. Okay, release, so 4.8. This was also a bit covered yesterday. You know what this is. Probably you have had a look at the release candidate. Just quickly highlighting some of the topics. One area that I would like to mention is the performance improvements. So we have run some measurements on the file system performance, and on average on Windows you get 8 times improvement on file system access, which is a quite good improvement. In Linux, double the performance, and in Mac OS 3 times the performance on average on these measurements. So clearly improvements throughout on the file system. Also performance improvements due to the new WebKit. For example, JavaScript performance, we run some tests about the most commonly used JavaScript functionality, and we see that there's about 25% increase in throughout. So it's quite okay.
Just for clarification, so are these generic, like 4.8 improvements, or is this specific work of
This is a generic 4.8 improvements that are together, that is achieved by everybody who has been working to 4.8. And as said, what our focus for the 4.8 is the desktop specific error correction. So making sure that the 4.8 really is a great release also on desktop and embedded, and adding the platform support. So in the bottom you see the platforms, so new things, so things that we are especially focusing on: Solaris, Windows Embedded, Integrity, QNX, WinRiver, real-time operating systems, and bringing more of those Windows, Mac, and Linux platforms into the testing, as discussed. Okay.
What about Windows 64?
Sorry?
What about Windows
64-bit
64-bit?
or Windows, which? Windows XP 7?
7?
Yeah, yes, it is supported.
There is no binary distribution.
Mm-hmm. For Windows 7 64-bit. Need to check. It may be. It should be there. I know that for example the 4.8 release candidate, we did some of those installers later than others. But yes, let's take that after the presentation and see if what might be. But yes, 64-bit Windows 7 is a supported configuration, and we are providing the installers for that. If some of those is missing from the release candidate, they should be latest for the 4.8.0. But one item that has been bit raised as a concern is that how long will Qt 4 be supported? So I wanted to discuss a bit on this topic as well. So as said, 4.8 is just being, the first release of 4.8 is just being released. We will be working to get 4.8 functionality better throughout the next year. So adding new platforms, adding fixes, improving the platform. We expect that the standard support, according to the normal standard support agreements, will last at least until the second quarter of 2014, so 2 years after the 5.0.0. And after that, we will of course have extended support available. So if you have something that you don't want to bring to Qt 5, it is possible. So it's not, you don't sort of need to be worried that you have to necessarily bring all the old stuff into 5. But of course, we see that it's the way to go. So it's feasible to port to Qt 5, and it's recommended to port to Qt 5. But there's no worry that Qt 4 support will end. So we have still many customers who we are supporting on Qt 3, and I don't mean supporting with Qt 3 support on Qt 4, but supporting them running on Qt 3. So we are not sort of planning in any near future to stop support for the Qt 4 series. We would probably first need to see when will the last customers who are still on Qt 3 migrate to something. So it's our interest to keep your investments safe. So definitely we will do that. And as said, the standard support with no extra fees continues at least until the second quarter of 2014, and after that it will be possible to have the extended support with all the items that you need. But that said, Qt 5 is still under process. So far it looks that it will be very feasible to port. If it turns out that we need to make more of the minor releases for the 4 series, so 4.9 for example, or whatever we wish to call that, it is of course possible. So there's nothing that prevents making it, except that we see that it won't be necessary because migration to 5 will be seamless and all the functionality that you need is there. And if there are some specific items that cannot work in Qt 5, there's nothing that would prevent you to keep running on Qt 4 for a really, really long time. So in that sense, we have analyzed that most likely it won't be needed. If it turns out that it's needed, then we expect that the timing of such release would be probably in the third quarter of next year. The release would not deprecate anything from the Qt 4.8. It would be source and binary compatible with the Qt 4 series in same way as all the new releases are, and we would be adding some functionality also. Most likely such items that later help you to migrate to Qt 5. And of course fixing bugs and things like that. But let's see how that goes. At least I now am relatively sure that the Qt 5 will be as it should. So it is something that you can migrate to the 5.0, or if not the 5.0, then 5.1 at least is something that provides you real benefits that you want to migrate to. So we really want that you don't feel forced that you have to migrate, but we want to make Qt 5 so good that you desire to migrate. You want to bring your projects to the newest version. And in many aspects, Qt 5 is no different than a minor version of Qt 4. So there are always, when you put a new minor version, there are always some items that you need to see that how they work. A similar level should be in Qt 5. Talking of 5, what are the benefits that we see in Qt 5? One clear benefit is the modularity. So it enables us to add those commercial add-ons in a way that we know that they are future-proof. They don't conflict with the work that is ongoing in a Qt project. We see open governance a really valuable tool, because now it has been tricky for you, for example, when you want to contribute, how to get those stuff in. With the open governance, you are able to put patches in if you want, and you can then notify us that, hey, we have put these patches in, make sure that they get in. And we will be able to do the approval to the main line of the project. At the moment, we only control our own branches of the Qt. Qt Quick, it really is a great way to create UI, and it will be adding a lot during the Qt 5 series, both on desktop and embedded. But as said also earlier in this event and in this presentation, that if you want to keep using the Qt widgets, there's nothing wrong. They are really great, and they are not going anywhere. But try out Qt Quick as well. It's especially for the UIs, it is a great way to do. And the releases, there's much talk about these time-based releases and things like so. Not that much will change in the releasing. You will have the releases quite same way as we have been delivering them before. So tested in a large number of platforms, named, validated, binary installers. So we don't see that the Qt 5 would do any major difference compared to the situation where we are now. Hopefully what it adds is it adds transparency, and the fact that there's a goal to keep the main code line working will add to the capability of making the releases on time. So there are benefits that are seen, but not that much other, yeah.
You talked a bit about open governance here. Do you also see a role for Digia in there? I saw there were quite a number of important areas that didn't have a maintainer yet, like Widgets. Is that a role that Digia is planning to take? Or?
Yes, so we will guarantee that, or we want to guarantee for you that those stuff that are important for Qt commercial customers are taken care of. If that requires Digia to be a maintainer of some module, yes, we are ready to go into that path. It requires at the very least that we are approver rights. So definitely there are many people from Digia who are contributing, so we expect that based on the meritocracy approach, those persons of course will act as approvers, approving also the community, so definitely yes. Then again, would we take any module? No, we would take such module that is valuable for us, and but I don't see that as a problem, because most of the modules that are there now hanging are the ones that are valuable for you and us. So in that sense, we are quite well aligned in that. Do we desire to be the maintainer of all modules? No. We are very happy that the modules are maintained. We don't necessarily ourselves need to be the maintainer as long as everything works in it. But let's see. Open governance is starting, and since we are at the moment mainly focusing on making the 4.8 really good, it's not before the 4.8 platforms are moved to get it. We don't use the tool that much. We are mainly using the existing or the older approach. But in a sense, I do see that the open governance is mainly a mindset, and only as a second step, it's a process and tools in a sense. But of course, it's good to have the tools that support the mindset as well. The product structure here was okay.
The previous slide, there's a small bug.
Okay.
First slide, you are talking about aligning with Nokia releases, but they are not Nokia releases anymore.
Yes, we'll need to fix that as well. Okay, product structure. So we talked about this differentiation. So we see that with the Qt 5, it will be much easier for us to bring those commercial add-ons in such a way that they don't conflict the overall Qt. We will be also doing stuff on the other areas quite much. For example, on the tools, Visual Studio add-in, build tools for the embedded, making Creator better. Yes, we work on those. Localization, of course, a topic that is very valid for most of us. Add-ons, existing add-ons like widgets, of course, very relevant. We'll be working there. Those areas, our primary goal is to work to be aligned with the projects, not to conflict, to do the work that is needed by the Qt commercial customers, valid for the business, do it in such a way that it is according to the rules and the guidelines of the project, through the project. Add-ons, additional platforms, those are then done such that they are available. Example of such a component from now would be that we are showing this automotive demo. We have created some widgets for that demo. All the source code of that demo and the widgets will be made available for Qt commercial customers under the same license that are there. So if you want to leverage some of those stuff later on, it will be yours to take. So these kind of things. Also some functionality, I'm sure, will be such that is relevant mainly for the commercial usage. I'm a bit worried about time. So how much we have here, but one area that I really would like to highlight, so I unfortunately need to skip through the slides, but as said, we will need to be out at about 9ish. So Windows Embedded 7, we have a demo of this. We wanted to highlight that Digia is a Microsoft Gold partner. So, and we are putting effort to do this, and we are upstreaming this as well. Support for real-time operating systems, timeline 4.8, 1, 4.8.2. So during the 4.8 life cycle, possible to get pre-releases already earlier. So if you are waiting to deploy on some of these, so yes, we will be able to create these. Most of the work on the platform ports has been done by the vendors of the real-time operating systems. What we are doing together with them is that we are productizing. We are making sure that the tests are regularly run, that we are able to point out where the problems are, that we are able to make sure that the configuration and integration to the Qt platform build systems and such like that work as they are in the same platforms, making it easier for you to deploy cross-platform manner. And also fixing and optimizing. But this is an effort that we do together with these vendors. So, all these exist already. So it's possible to get pre-releases. What you will get in the 4.8 is more integrated releases, integrated to the Qt product configuration and stuff like that. And wanted to highlight that we have the full technical support for these platforms available as through the standard support. So no additional fees. You can ask questions. Of course, if you have hardware-specific stuff, as you typically might with these kind of systems, there's our consultancy to help you with. SDK, we are working on it. Should be available still during this quarter for the 4.8. We'll have Qt Creator, Qt Commercial, and a compiler and updater functionality bundled in, so that it's possible to install them from a single package and to keep that updated. This has been requested by many, and we hope that it's really valuable to you. Embedded Linux, sorry, yeah.
When you mean compiler, do you mean also Visual Studio compiler?
Bundling in the compiler as such is a bit tricky for the license terms, but bundling in the support for the compiler is easy. So for MinGW will be for Windows in, and the Visual Studio you will still probably need to do the license terms, install yourself. Embedded Linux. Nokia deprecated Embedded Linux from 4.8. We still have it in, and we want to keep it better than ever. We are working to get the tool change. We are working to get you sample Linux distributions to ease up the start of this, to take use of the embedded Linux. And we hope to be able to release the beta according to the time frame of the 4.8.0. Going forward, we see that we need to leverage also. We want to give you a migration path to Qt 5 as well. So we are investigating how we best can support the QWS and stuff. Yes, support for Mac OS X and Lion, and the last topic, Qt Cloud. So this I will spend a minute, and then we are definitely out of time. So what we see with the cloud is that this is a direction where we want that the whole Qt project goes. we see that it's aligned with all the Nokia's mobile needs, it's aligned with the community needs, and it's very much aligned with the Qt commercial customer needs. How to do it? We see that the best way is to do it together, so that that we don't differentiate with the cloud. We might differentiate with some parts. So there already exist certain of these, for example, these utility libraries that are available from Qt commercial partners. We don't intend to sort of change that necessarily. So if there is a deep integration into something, it's good that there's available for that. What we want to do is that such things that most of you need, like JSON, OAuth, RESTful APIs, those are there. And we want to cooperate with the cloud providers. Welcome, get in. So I'm really sorry that we run a bit through over time. Thank you for the time. Yes, we are stopping now. Let's continue discussion in the hall, and you can visit Digia stand. Later on, I will be there. Let's chat. Thank you very much.